There was a time in my life not too long ago when I was pre-diabetic, extremely unhealthy, and feeling low energy all the time. I have to say, it's much more exciting knowing how to use food to live vibrantly, happy, and healthy every day. My name is Adam Hart, and I want to welcome you to the power of food.
This Power Food Cooking Show, you might be wondering, well, where's the cooking? Well, we got right here my raw brownies out of the Power Food book. And I actually want to eat one right now, but I'm not going to because it'll affect my ability to tell you all this beautiful information I want to tell you about chocolate. And I grew up eating a lot of chocolate. If you know my story out of the Power Food book, you know that I used to have a vending machine for a drawer at my workplace. It's the only way I knew how to get energy. I take a bite of my Snickers bar, I get that big burst of energy, and then I get a crash. And usually I'd get a little bit frustrated or angry with something that would happen at work, or bored, which I know many of us have that one. When we get bored, what's the one thing that we tend to do? Grab some food, maybe something sweet in particular. Chocolate tends to be one of those main ones that a lot of us go for. Now, why is that happening? Mainly because we're looking for that burst of energy. We're looking for that fix of some kind. But there's also the mood-enhancing aspects of chocolate that we're after. Now, when it comes to the processed types of chocolate, it's unfortunate, but we're not getting a whole lot of nutritional value. So what I want to share with you on this segment, this is actually called the Power of Chocolate segment. We are really focusing on what is the difference between real chocolate and dead chocolate. And there is a huge difference. And if you understand my work, that's the idea is there's only two kinds of food. It's either dead food, processed food, has no life very much at all, or it's living food, the plant-based world. And cacao, in its natural form, is a living food. Tons of nutritional value. But what's happening is we're getting all these big, huge chocolate manufacturers that take what was once a health product and destroy it by liquefying it. Now, you think about every chocolate bar that is across North America in every grocery store. Just think about our own local area, how many chocolate bars there are. We're talking about billions and billions of pounds of what was once a beautiful plant-based food. So here's an example for you. Now, that is a cacao bean. Now, inside here, you break that up, and you actually have what many of us know as cacao nibs. So that's the real chocolate. I'll hold my hand out for you for a minute so you could just get a glimpse of what that looks like. All right, that's the actual bean that's broken down. Now, these beans come out of a pod. Now, the pod grows on a tree, usually in really tropical areas, and they grow about 7 or 8 inches. So they're about this big, and you cut one of those open, and it's a beautiful looking fruit. So I highly recommend, just Google it and check it out. But beautiful, you cut that open, and you'll have 20 to 50 of these little beans. That essentially is the chocolate. So this is 100% cacao. That's what that is. Now, in that form, it holds a lot of power. Now, I'll tell you another one to Google is called Kirlian photography. It's a high voltage style of photography with a K, Kirlian photography. Just type in cacao bean, and it'll show you a picture of what it looks like. And essentially what you're going to see is this beautiful bean, just like this guy that I'm showing here, and shooting all around it is this electrical charge. So it's full of energy. Now, I never knew that. Growing up, I didn't realize, well, food could have that much energy to it that if I ate it, well, maybe that's going to do something for me. Turns out that cacao is one of those alkaloid type foods that impacts your body in a very powerful way. Now, the key with this is learning your dose, because food is medicine. And I know many of you have heard that. Let food be my medicine, medicine thy food. It's such an important aspect to know. So I'm going to show you a chocolate bar in my hand. I wish I had my Snickers bar. I don't have it on me. But if I showed you this guy here, right, 70% cacao and a Snickers bar, which one is healthier? Is it the Snickers bar or is it this guy? Now, let's say that said 95% cacao. Is that healthier than this bar? Now, I know many of us will say, yeah, for sure, this guy is healthier. But unfortunately, the way that the modern agriculture works for cacao beans and chocolate production is we're taking all of these, the big manufacturers are taking all these beautiful, high nutrient-rich beans and liquefying them using a high heat process in order to feed all the different chocolate that we have in our grocery stores. So those two chocolate bars are exactly the same. They're candy bars. They spike your insulin and give you a crash. So what we want to do is we want to get our hands on the real deal. And that's this guy here. So that's why I say when you find the real deal, this is what you're going to be looking for. This is what you're going to be getting out of it. Now, this is the power of real chocolate. And I know many of us have heard from news stations and online, and maybe somebody you know has told you, oh, chocolate's good. I read a study that it's great for you. If you're reading that chocolate's good for you, it's not the candy bar chocolates you're getting at the store. It's this. It's the real chocolate. Now, like I mentioned, when you break it down, you got the cacao nibs. Now, if you take the nibs and you break that down even further, you have cacao powder. Now, that's a natural powder, far different from cocoa powder. Cocoa powder, or maybe Dutch-style cocoa powder you might have heard of, has very little to no nutritional value, and it's full of sugar. So what you're looking for is cacao powder that's made from a real source, a natural source. And those are not that difficult to find. You just have to go to your local grocery stores, health food store, and just say, hey, listen, I'm looking for a real cacao powder. And that's the other part of cacao right there. So if you take that bean and you slow press it, that's the oil you get out. It's a heavy omega-6 oil, but it's a saturated fat at room temperature. So you can actually start to create some really amazing chocolate bars out of that. Here's the Raw brownies that are out of the Power Food book. They don't have the butter in there, but you can easily make it with the butter. So what you do with this is you melt that down, low heat on your stovetop, throw in a big bowl, throw in your cacao powder. Maybe you want some roasted almonds, some sea salt, maybe some goji berries, some hemp seeds, and then you take the melted cacao butter, then you just let it sit, and within 2 minutes it starts to harden, just like chocolate. So you can make all your own bars and different ways to use chocolate to your advantage. Now the key is you want to make sure that you check your dose. Like I mentioned, if you do too much cacao, it's going to tax your adrenal glands, which then will rise your cortisol and it'll actually get you into a fatigue state. So you want to play around with this, start off with just small amounts and learn what your amount is. So for me, before I go for, if I'm going to jump on my mountain bike, I'm going to head up to Rupert, do a lap on Rupert, do a lap on Credit Line, wherever I'm going. I'm going to eat probably 1 or 2 of these brownies before I go. And it is amazing how it will just stimulate my body and the energy in my body to a level that just gets me vibrating, where I'm just charging up the hill and charging down, and it's a beautiful state, far different from having a chocolate bar. So here's what you're getting: a huge amount of antioxidants, which is a great stress reducer. Free radical production in the body, we need antioxidants. So cacao in its natural form happens to be the #1 source of antioxidants on the planet. So highly recommend figuring it out. 3-to-1 carbohydrate to protein. For all us athletes out there, this idea of recovering off of chocolate milk. I don't want to swear, so I'm not going to swear. I'm just going to say stay off the dairy-based chocolate milk. Instead, try making your own chocolate milk off of real cacao powder. It's a far different experience and still holds 3-to-1 carbohydrate to protein content. So great for recovery. The happy neurotransmitters, right? So your serotonin, your dopamine, all these serotonins are critical for the happiness part of our day. So if you really are feeling that bit of doom and gloom, grab yourself a little piece of real chocolate using the recipes out of the Power Food. Guarantee you're going to notice a little lift in that mood and your energy levels. Plus, you're getting a whole host of amazing micronutrients, vitamins. So we have magnesium, which is critical for calcium absorption, for enzyme function, for protein synthesis, for athletes. Good amount of iron in there, all natural. Vitamin C, so a good immune booster. So in its natural form, I can't stress enough, chocolate is a superfood. It's amazing how powerful it is. I do not even highlight it, though, inside the Power of Food, other than some of the recipes, because it happens to be one of my top 3 foods that I notice immediately a result from consuming, which means, again, you have to play around with your dose that's going to give you the impact you're looking for. So try around with some of the recipes I'm sharing, and as you do, just notice how it makes you feel. If you get a little bit fatigued after, try a little bit less. If you feel you could use a little more, try a little more, and when you get your right amount, it's amazing how chocolate can become a very beneficial part of your life and feed you and your family some nutrients that we don't otherwise get. So that's the chocolate. Hope you enjoy that. And drop me a line. Let me know how you experience using cacao in its natural form. Adam at powerfood.com. I'd love to hear some of the results you've had, especially in the athlete world, from your recovery to your performance, how you use chocolate, because it is fantastic that way. So thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon.